It's Charlie with PrepperTexas.com. I'm just going to show you a few ways on how to start a fire. I'm going to start out with the easiest, work our way up to what I consider the more difficult. Over the years, everybody's like, well, Zippos are great for the field. I'm not a big Zippo fan as far as the regular Zippo. Anybody who's ever carried one in their pocket knows what happens if you overfill it and you put it in your pocket and it leaks. That's one of the things about them. Yes, they work in the wind, but there's one issue. You've got to carry extra fluid. I mean, are you going to use this and carry a large container of fluid with you? Extra wicks, all that? Or are you going to carry something simpler? Well, Zippo has come out with their Striker. It's basically...
Show that to the camera a little closer. Oh,
it's a Striker that holds some of the Zippo tinder, which is basically cotton with saturated in. It's hard to see, but it's cotton saturated in wax. It will work. It works pretty good. This is the size of the Zippo. This is a mini Striker. You can also change the flints in it.
Now, does that come in its own little case? Like if I want to keep it water wet? Okay, so
it comes in a little case. It usually has 3 or 4 extra flints in it. Works really well on striking. If I can get my fingers to work today. There it goes. Get it lit. Add some of that good old fat wood on there.
Or just some regular tinder. If you don't have fat wood, just dry.
Just dry grass will work.
Something about the size of a match in a pencil.
We just start slowly adding the wood to it.
And you don't really need to worry so much about building your fire like a teepee looks. Just as long as you get it going.
You just want to get your base of your fire. You want to get some coals going. That's what maintains your fire. This thing weighs literally nothing.
See, that's what, about a ½ ounce?
Maybe a ½ ounce. Comes in a little container. You end up with, something with good tinder, something you'd use a regular Striker for to get a strike with it. That's going to work, and it works pretty well.
So once again, just to remind the good folks who are watching the PrepperTexas.com videos that these are just all different options that you have to do one thing, that is to start a fire. Different parts of the country that you might not have some of the stuff available. It's available online, but these are just different options.
Yeah, there's, and one thing I can't stress enough. Don't just have one way to do anything. An old military term is 2 is 1, 1 is none. I've probably got 5 different ways to build a fire in here. Guys will talk about, well, what about using a fire bow, the fire drill method? Man, if that's what you're down to and you've got to use it, use it.
Now, for the folks who might not know what that is, Charlie, what
you basically make yourself a spindle. You have to have a base, a spindle,
a string,
and a bow, some type of material, and you also have to have a bearing block or something you can push down on it. If you're trying to build a fire one-handed, forget about the bow drill. If your wood is wet, forget about the bow drill. If you don't have a knife so you can properly prepare the wood for you making your set, forget about it. In my opinion, it is probably one of the hardest ways to build a fire.
Hardest way, and it takes the most room up in your backpack.
Yeah, and you could, if you lost your bearing block or your string breaks and you don't have any extra, you use a lot of calories trying to build that fire. Or you use something like this. One of these, or even one of those. It takes up little to no room at all. You know, when you get back down, these are called peanut lighters. You notice this was on my necklace. You can't see it, but there's the flame. It's basically a mini Zippo with an O-ring that fits on a keychain, on a necklace, and it's made by Urban Gear. You're looking at a $10 item, and they come with a waterproof case. They work. You can even make them a little larger. And the larger one has a flat bottom, which I like, because you can start it and set it down and start something else if you want to. The only reason I keep these in there is this has been in my pack for 6 months, and I have not had to refill it.
So in the outdoorsman or the prepper community, everybody's got their own methods, their own different ideas, but personally, I think you would probably agree, Charlie. I think the best thing a person can do in their bug out bag is to have at least 3 different ways to start a fire, 3 to 5 different ways to start a fire.
Yes, and just because you have the gear, you need to know how to use it. Go out in the barbecue pit, practice building a fire. I see guys all the time say, well, I've got this, I've got that. Well, have you ever used it? Well, no. Then how do you know if it works? When you're out in the field and you need to use something, it's an emergency, that's not the time to learn how to use your gear. Knowledge is really light. Doesn't take up any room in your pack. Gear takes up room in your pack. If you know how to build a fire with say, in the palm of my hand here, I have 5 ways to build a fire, and I can do it. It's that easy. You just need to practice. It all comes down to, well, do you want to take some cotton balls and just put them in put some Vaseline on them, put them in an old pill bottle? Probably the best fire starter out there. You can buy the Zippo brand impregnated cotton wick material. It works pretty good. A little 5-pack of these are going to cost you $3. You can go to the little tinder wicks. These are basically cotton saturated with wax. They're about 3/4 to an inch long. They cost you about 10 cents a piece.
So in the next video we'll probably show 1 or 2 more ways, and that'll give a good idea on how you don't have to worry about being out in the woods and not have fire available to you. So this is Charlie.
No, this is Charlie. That's
That's
Greg.
Charlie.
That is Greg.
Saying thanks for watching.
Thanks.